Remember that trigonometry is used to find the angles and sides of a right-angled triangle, and we use this symbol called theta, and that's right here, this symbol right here, and that's used to denote angles. So if we look over here, you can see in the corners of the triangles we have that symbol. We also want to label the sides with hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent. And when you're doing your homework, you can just write H, O, and A for short, because otherwise it becomes a lot of writing. So let's go ahead and look at this first example, this triangle here. It tells us to circle the angle. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. And the next step is we want to label the sides with the H, O, and the A. And I want you to pretend that this is a park and that you're standing right here and you're looking into the park this way. So you're standing in this corner and you have your back to the corner and you're looking into the park. And that's how you're going to label. So I like to start with hypotenuse because that's always easy to label. It's the longest side and it's opposite of the square corner. And then opposite is the next thing I like to label, because I can see if I'm standing right here and I'm looking into the park, this side would be opposite. And then the last thing I like to label is adjacent, because if I'm standing here and I put my hand up, I can touch a fence if there was a fence right here. I wouldn't be able to touch the fence on the opposite side, so we call this adjacent. Okay, the last thing is, what if the other angle is used? So what if I asked you to stand in this corner of the park? Well, there's just one small difference, and let's have a look at that. Fortunately, we're going to do the same steps, circle the angle. There we go, and we're going to label the sides. So our steps are exactly the same, and I still want you to pretend you're standing in the park in that corner, and that's the hypotenuse side. But this time, if I'm standing here, my back's to this corner, and I'm looking across the park, you can see this side would be opposite. Okay, so there's the opposite, and this time this side is the adjacent. Okay, so go ahead and go to the second slide and see if you can label all of those triangles on the next slide by yourself. So kind of quiz yourself. Okay. Okay, the next thing you need to figure out is which of the three formulas do we want to use? And these are the formulas from grade 10 that we've learned before, so hopefully you remember them. The first one's called SO, and let me just get my pointer. The first one's called SO, S-O-H, and the next one's called CAH, C-A-H, and the next one's called TOA. So be careful to say them that way, especially TOA. Emphasize the A, because otherwise you might think this one is an H. You don't want to say toe, say TOA. Otherwise it looks like one of these. And then so what SO stands for is sine is opposite over hypotenuse, and CAH is cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, and TOA stands for tan is opposite over adjacent. So that just helps you remember what the formulas are. You just say SO, CAH, and TOA. Okay, how do you decide which one to use, more importantly? Let's look at our triangle again. And the steps are the same, so we want to go ahead and circle the angle. We're going to label the sides. Okay. And pretend that you're standing in that corner looking across. So here we've got our hypotenuse. Now, if I look across, this side is going to be my opposite, so label that. And then we have adjacent left. Okay, step 3 is which one of these formulas do we need? That's what we have to figure out. That's the problem. When we look at this triangle, I want you to think of which, you can think of it in 2 ways. The positive way is which 2 sides have numbers next to them, or information given. Well, the opposite side has an 8 and the adjacent side has a 13. So I want to look for a formula with O and A in it, and that's this one. It has O and A. Okay. The other way to look at it is, what don't I have? I don't have information on the hypotenuse, so I can't use this and this. Okay, so that's the negative way of thinking of it. Either way, whichever way works for you. So in this case, we have O and A given, so we should use TOA. Okay, we have pieces of information there that just came up. If you had H and A given, if there's a number here and here, then I would use cat, right? And then similarly, what if I had a number where O was and H was, then I would use so. Okay? Okay, now on your calculator, we did this before. I want you to go ahead and practice some of these things. Find the sine, cosine, tan button. Notice above your buttons, this one's called the sine inverse, the cosine inverse, and the tan inverse. And to access these buttons, just a reminder that you have to do second sine, second cos, and second tan to get those buttons. And when do we use the inverse? When we want to go backwards and find the angle. So notice in these questions, when we have the answer, which is a long decimal, you go backwards and you'll be able to find these angles. So go ahead and try sine 32 and so on. But these ones go straight in the calculator with sine, cos, tan. These ones do the inverse. Remember, round these to whole numbers. These ones will be 4-digit decimals. Okay? So see if you can get these answers. If you get 0.529919, and this. And taking 51 should be this. Okay, and now go ahead and do your sine inverse. Notice that those numbers are here already. The answer in red, it's the same number as this. So now we're going to go backwards. We should, if logic tells us correctly, we should be able to get 32. And here we should be able to get 87. And here we should be able to get 51. So let those answers come up. But do check them in your calculator to see if you can get them, because every calculator is a little bit different. And I want you to make sure you know how to use your calculator properly. Okay? Okay, let's see if we can write out the SO, CAT, and TOA formula. Okay, and I want you to try this one by yourself. There's 3 numbers given here. So pretend that you're standing in this corner here and label your sides with O, A, and H according to you standing right here in this corner. And then I want you to write out what SO, CAT, and TOA will be. And then we'll go through these together and take them up together and see if you got them right. Okay? And now we'll do some more practice using SO, CAT, and TOA together.